Everyone, welcome back in the second part of Axon data marketplace. So in this session, we'll talk about the technical part that we have to configure in the Axon data marketplace. Okay, so here basically we have to configure the data, that the data provisioning. Okay, so what does mean by data provisioning? Okay, so data provisioning means we can say basically a process to transfer data from source to target for further analysis and processing. Okay okay so to enable data provisioning in this data marketplace, we have to integrate IICS in the EDC. Okay, so for doing that there are certain steps. So very first step, uh, we have to integrate, we have to configure the IICS org. It means we should have at least one IICS org, okay, where we can create mapping and we can run it. Okay. Second thing will come at the EDC side. So there are certain steps. I am just going through by step and step. The first thing is we have to do. We should have at least one IICS org, which where we can actually create mapping and run that. Second, EDC side. So EDC side, there are two things we have to do. The first thing, at the catalog service side, we have to add two parameter, two custom property. The first property is the LDM custom option dot enable data provision. That should be true. And second, the LDM custom option provision IECS master app URL. That is for the ICC URL which you use to log into your IICS org. Okay. So once these two properties are done, then you have to restart your catalog service. Okay. If these property are set properly, then post restart you have to go to catalog admin, then you have to go to manage, then you have to go to in IIC org. Okay, manage, you will able to see the option of IIC org in that. In IIC org you have to just you, as you can see, I am just highlighting here, you can click on new and enter username password. Once that part is done, then you have to validate whether my credentials are correct or not. Sometimes what happen, you are entering the correct password but maybe it will give some validation fail. So one of the reason which I found on Informatica articles, that it is because of the pre and post login certs, that is certificate that is required to have imported at your EDC dominant. Okay, at EDC end. Okay, so that thing you have to check, but that you can easily find on the internet. You can simply search how to import the certificate to EDC domain from IICS. Then you can do. Sometimes like what happens, if you already configured the IICS scanner before, then maybe it is not required. It will simply validate your credentials. Okay, but if it's required, then you have to import the certificates as well. So once these two part is done, then we are good. We have to just do few more thing to have the data provisioning in place. Okay, then next thing will come at the ICS side again. So that is to creation of a task which actually we run when we will load the requested data set or requested data into target table. So what you have to do at ICS? So first you have to log into your ICS, then you have to go to new and mapping. And mapping, when you create a mapping, then be very careful, select this type. There are certain types come, new mapping, then copy type, or then so this option you have to select copy data into an existing target. Once that is done, then just give the name of that mapping. So just be very careful, you have to give the name of mapping this only. EDC, in EDC E is capital, then provision P capital, and mapping M capital. Just give this name and save it, that's all. Okay, so once mapping is created, then you have to create a two connections. Okay, one connection that you can use as a source, second you can use a target. So source connection is basically corresponding to a data set. So let's understand in this way, what is my resource, if we will talk Resource is nothing but is your database connection. Okay, resource is your database. Okay, like let's assume your Oracle. So Oracle, I have a customer, not customer, I will say the end user. End user is my database, which includes my customers, some other stakeholders that is directly or indirectly connected to my business. Okay, so these are the multiple tables in that. Okay, so customer is one of the table inside my end user database. So what I will do, I have a connection corresponding to the end user database, okay, that I can create in IIC send. So that will be my source connection. Okay, and second, my target connection is based on your choice where you want. Okay, but source connection should be where actually your the data set, I mean the data of that particular data set where you are going to enable data provisioning should reside. Okay, then target. Okay, target connection. So these are two connection, two connection you should have. Okay, now next step is that you have to go to the resource. Okay, now go to the EDC side. Once this part is done, then go to the EDC side. Okay, EDC side, what you have to do, you know EDC side how to go to that particular table. Okay, or data set in terms of Axon. So customized data set. Okay, so customized table name. So in EDC you can directly find the customer table, or you can go to the resource of end user and inside that you can find the customer table. Okay, then you can go to open the customer table and you will find a new tab that is data provision. Okay, in that data provisioning tab, in the data provisioning you have to enable the data provisioning. By default it is disabled. When you enable it, then you will get two options: source connection and your, you know, that the org name. Okay, just select that, then okay, select that and save it. Now okay, just one thing that I maybe okay, sorry, just one point. Before going to the actual table, first you have to go to the resource side. Okay, resource side, EDC resource. Okay, so first you have to go to the EDC resource. EDC resource, where you want to enable data, because you have to first enable the data provisioning for particular resource. Okay, and you have to define the connection which we created now, source connection. Okay, EDC resource, first you have to go to here. So at EDC resource end, what you have to do, there is a table, there's a tab of data provisioning. Okay, data provisioning. Okay, and data provisioning, just enable it and provide org and org and source connection. Okay, this is how you can enable the data provisioning for that particular resource. Once that is done, then you really don't need to run the resource again to make it reflected. Okay, just save it. Then so this is where this is part of you know that LDM admin thing. Okay, and second, your catalog. Okay, catalog. So catalog side, what you have to do, catalog side you have to again just go to that particular table. Okay, then in table there is a tab of data provisioning. Okay, data provisioning. Okay, then you have to create a new task inside that. Okay, and once you create the task, then you have a three tab. One is source. Okay, source followed by target followed by execution. Okay, target. Okay, source and target. So in source, your source connection will come. You just have to provide you know that your username and password, so that the username password whatever you provide, using that data can be read from the source. And After the target, so in target you have an option to select your target connection from IC side only, and you have to enter the username password which will be used to you know that insert the data which you read from the source connection, and then you can submit your job. So what it will do, it will just simply take the data from the source and it will insert in the target. Okay, and once you submit, then you can check the jobs in your that EDC end, and as well as you can check at the IC sent in my job. Okay, and once that is done, then you have your data at your particular target table. Then you can update to the data consumer. The data is available in this particular table. Okay, so this is how like you can set up a data program. Why I just explain this thing, because without understanding the technical thing you cannot correlate better that the functionality. Because first you have to understand the functionality, what is Axon marketplace. Then the key thing in Axon marketplace is how technical owner will deliver the data, because apart from that the above things are fine. This is simply that approve and reject request, and then some kind of the text you can fill in the request, or while you are approving the request. What the actual work will come whenever the technical owner comes into the picture. What how technical owner will deliver the actual data to the consumer. So for this we have to integrate EDC with the Axon. So these are the 4 steps that you have to just keep in mind when you. However, you can easily find the KV of Informatica, but before going that, I would recommend just to try to understand. Okay, and just so that whenever you work in live project you will get a better idea like how the things work. But the things that you have to understand is like why we are configuring IICS. Okay, and the second thing, the property that no need to remember, you can just search in Informatica KB, you can easily get, so I have not mentioned here. Second thing, this is where you are integrating IICS or, and then why you are creating this task is name of data provision mapping, because the because it is kind of some kind of automated thing that runs in the in background. So whenever you trigger submit any job, then it will look for this particular task. So this task actually used to perform this task, perform this operation, you can say. And this source, so source connection, you understand. So why we cannot have more than one source connection for it? The reason is very simple. In ICs, when you create a connection, then it is again corresponding to a the database. And here also, like you have it, that against. I mean, whenever you create a resource, it is also against a database. Even though if you want, you can go to the resource, you can change the source connection. That is up to you. But this is just try, just I mean, just for understanding like why we have this source and target and what is the use of this. The source is basically where actually your data set, the data belongs to the data set actually exists or resides. Okay, and target where you want to load, so that you can share with the data consumer. Okay, and then in EDC side you have a LDM admin, so here you have to enable data provisioning. So basically data provisioning for a particular resource, and then once that is done, then you have to create a task for the particular object or data asset. Okay, so this is all about the data provisioning and the marketplace. So I hope you will get a chance in near future to work on this. But yeah, so when you get a chance, then maybe it may help you to pick the things quickly. Okay, and then in the next video we'll talk about some other interesting topic. Thank you very much.